ఇద్దరు ఒకటేసారి మాట్లాడు
Hello, good morning. Today is our resource person, Dr.AARTHI Nakwal. A very happy morning, madam. Please welcome madam into our session today. Very happy morning to our HOD sir, Professor Rajan sir. And very happy morning to all the dear students. I hope you're all energetic, enthusiastic to listen to Dr. Aarti Nagpal's topic, group dynamics, which is the in thing in today's world. Whatever we are as an individual, we have to always work in group and in a team. I hope you'll take all the inputs from our madam today, students. So please pay attentive and be give us a healthy interactive session, and we expect the same from all of you. And before I hand over the session to Dr. Nati Nagpal, let me just give you a few lines of introduction of Madam. Dr. Aarti hails from Hyderabad, Telangana. She has completed her education in University of Hyderabad and is a PhD psychology. She has won several awards in her academic career, ranging from Excellence in Psychology to Young Psychologist Award. She has presented her research work in several national and international conferences. Currently, she is working as an assistant professor in Geetham University and also serves as a counselor for the students in Geetham. So this is almost like another counseling class session for you. Please make the best use of it, students, and all the best to you, madam, and all the best to all our dear freshers. Thank you.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much for handing over the session to me. I once again thank Vidya Jyoti Institute of Technology for having me on board to interact with the freshers and to interact with the faculty members and students in understand
Stop
their
it.
requirements and their needs.
వీడియో ప్లే చేద్దామన్నారు.
One second. Yeah. Yeah. So, as ma'am has rightly introduced me, already spoken much about me, about my educational qualifications and what I do, I will skip all of it. And I look forward to having an interactive session with the students because for me, learning comes from discussions, from interactions, from queries being answered. And I could have simply, made a presentation, shown you 1.5 2 hours presentation, which usually many people prefer doing. But in doing so, as a counselor, as a psychologist, I feel I am going to miss out on a lot of personal connect that I would have with people. And in fact, for me, it is a huge struggle to have an interaction on a virtual platform because as a psychologist, the basic rule of psychology comes with empathy, comes with being there with your students, being there with your clients, being there with people in their shoes and understanding what they go through, right? So this itself is a challenging task which all of us together have undertaken during the pandemic and quite fairly succeeding it. So the topic that I will be focusing on is managing and understanding group dynamics. Since most of the students today will grow up to be young professionals, CEOs, sales executives, engineers, software developers, and there is a variety of scope, an array of work that is designed for them, destined for them in the future. So the most important part that comes there to be successful, it's not just your education alone, but also the social aspects because we humans are social beings. We have social interactions with people. Our behavior, our attitudes are actually framed because of the behaviors and attitudes of other relevant people in our society, whether those are our parents, our friends, or others. So this is majorly what I'll be focusing on. I'll be giving some tips on how to improve your social skills, how to be a part of the social society that we talk of, whether it is social media, whether it is being present in a social group, being accepted by our social groups, etc. So what are the factors that make you a good person to be in a social group, etc. So I hope the students can work with me hand in hand in this process of learning and understanding certain concepts in psychology. And also I'll be more happy if I get certain questions, if we have more of a live interaction in the form of comments, in the form of relevant comments that will actually serve the purpose of the entire topic and the induction program that the students are being helped with to induce them with the program that VJIT is going to take up for them. So once again, I welcome all the students, faculty members, and freshers in this induction program that I'll be taking up. So yeah, to start with, I will just log into YouTube as well. Ma'am, is there any way that I can check the comments if students want to ask me anything? Hello? Hello, ma'am? Am I audible? Hello? Can I please get a response?
Yeah, ma'am, you are audible. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just trying to understand if there's a live session, how can I get access to the questions and comments from YouTube? Okay, yeah, I think I got access to it. Yeah. So once again, welcome all of you to the induction program. The topic that I'll be speaking on is managing and understanding group dynamics. So I understand as students, because I have also, faced my undergraduation very recently in the last couple of years. I understand that it is so difficult for students, for adolescents to, just come out of their 10th standard, come up past their 12th standard and make difficult choices in life, whether to be an engineer, whether to be a pilot, whether to be an aeronautical engineer, whether to be a software developer, to be a data scientist, or simply get into social sciences and humanities, to choose medicine, become a doctor. These daily tasks, these are daily thoughts that every student goes through in their lifetime. And trust me, these choices are as difficult as deciding to get married, are as difficult as deciding to have a family, having a child. These are also crucial decisions that every student makes in their academic career, right? So these decisions are followed by enormous amount of stress, enormous amount of tormenting thoughts about failure, about success, about being able to fulfill the dreams of parents, about being able to achieve something. So obviously any decision that you take, any thought that you have is followed by several other thoughts which are disturbing enough. Hence, there is a huge data that we have in India on suicides, on depressions. There are so many engineering students, so many doctors, people trying to be doctors who fall for depression because they are unable to meet their goals that they have set for themselves, because they are unable to cope up with the situation, they are unable to cope with the demands of the society, demands of parents, etc. And if we look at the data that we have, I think I have shared this data with several people. Lot of suicide cases actually come from parts of Andhra and Telangana, because as much as the education rate is going on the upward side of the graph, the rate of suicide, the rate of attempt of suicide is actually also increasing. It has a positive relationship, it has a positive correlation with the increase in one variable, wherein the education level is increasing, the ambitions of people are increasing. There's a high sudden increase even in the rate of suicide, even in the rate of depression for such students. So in order to curb this, the government has come up with certain policies, especially there was a time when Kota was known as the hub of student suicide, because Kota is famous for preparation for engineering students, for IIT examinations, IIM examinations, etc. Now these comes with certain risk. Obviously students are young-minded, hot-blooded. They are filled with a lot of enthusiasm, lot of energy, but that can quickly, in a jiffy, it can go down if they are being demotivated. This demotivation comes with their performance in exam, their self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is a psychological term that we use for belief in oneself, believing that your capabilities are good enough or you are capable enough to achieve your goals that you have set for yourself. The belief that when you meet an adversity, when you come across a failure in life, you are able to bounce back from it, you are able to survive back from it. So these are certain qualities of having self-efficacy, having belief in oneself, being egoistic enough that will help you survive and flow through the problem, etc. So government also came up with certain policies in IIT examination, entrance examinations for JEE, mains, etc. That there should be a psychologist, there should be a counselor in every educational institute, whether it is intermediate level, whether it is undergraduation level or post-graduation level, because the need of a psychologist has become as important as having a general physician. Today, when we face fever or cough, we go to a doctor. But today, when we are stressed, we don't easily go to a psychologist because already there is so much of stigma that is attached to the profession of a psychologist. When students, approach their teachers or the parents or they say, I am depressed, they're always taken in a very lighter note. They're always said by the parents, this is a phase. It's probably because, you're unable to study, or maybe you have some other issues related to your relationship with certain people. They always try to look for other reasons. Teachers may think that, they have parental conflict or some other conflicts at home that is not allowing the student to cope up with their studies. But in reality, depression and suicide and stress has become so common that we cannot even negate the fact, we cannot even differentiate between people who are depressed and between people who are not depressed, because already there is so much of stigma that students do not want to open up, they do not want to share it with their parents, they do not want to share it with their friends. But yes, there are subtle ways in which students actually give hints to their teachers, to their friends, to their peers, to their parents, in ways of suddenly being aloof, not being able to cope with their work, not being able to complete their homeworks, being irregular to the class. Even if they come to the class, they are mostly sleepy or not interested in what is being taught, skipping exams, not completing their food, and taking back the tiffin back home. These are certain signs and symptoms that should trigger a teacher or trigger a parent to understand, trigger a friend to understand that there is a problem with the student. And majorly the problem that arises or the problem that stems from is academic stress. Academic stress is the major or the primary reason that students are unable to cope with. And if today, as students in your 3 years or 4 years of undergraduation, if you're not able to handle and deal with your stress and difficulties and pressures, do you think as students you can go up and be successful professionals? Why is it that we have only a handful of CEOs and handful of people who have become leaders, who have become, they have opened up startups that are working really fine, whether it is Uber, whether it is Ola, whether it is Swiggy, Zomato, etc. The only handful of them that are working perfectly fine. I am not even saying that these people would not have had gone through certain amount of stress and anxiety during their growing ages and during their careers. But yes, they have been able to deal with it positively. They have had the efficacy to deal with it in a positive direction that have got them out of it, and they are successful today, which is why I believe every student, whether they are from engineering, whether they are from social sciences, they should be trained. They should be trained for soft skills. They should be trained for, group dynamics, for being a part of the group, for being involved in group activities, for being accepted. Now, when you actually go out from your student life, when you go out in the professional world, or for that matter, even if in your student age, when you have a group, once you get into campus or once you start having your proper online classes, once you go back to offline mode of having classes, we usually tend to form groups, don't we? I mean, as teachers, as adults, as students, all of us, we tend to form our own groups, our own support system. Because as I said earlier, as human beings, we're not just humans, we are social beings, we are socially responsible. We are socially dependent on each other for our smooth functioning in our life. So once we get into reality, once we even get onto virtual mode of interacting, we always tend to have our own groups. And these groups usually become our confidence, our friends. From friends, they may turn out to be your enemies later, but from friends, they may turn out to be your best friends later. So these are the groups that, will be with us, will help us, and make sure you choose your groups very carefully, because a group can help you to progress in life, but the same group can also help you to go down in your life and not to succeed. If your group mates, if your friends are not efficient enough to understand if you're going through some tormenting thought, if you're going through a psychological problem, if you're going through stress and depression, then what is the point of having such a group? So it is very important that we decide our groups very carefully, whether in a professional front or whether in our academic front. So I'll start by first explaining what a group really means. So in simple psychological terms, group is defined as a group of individuals, several individuals that come together to achieve a task, to fulfill a goal, or to accomplish a goal. Now, when we go back to college, when we go back to school, get back to your school days and try to remember, how did you make friends? Maybe based on common language. When you enter a group, there may be a group of North Indians speaking fluent Hindi. They may form a group of friends together. It can be based on gender, that you may tend to make more friends who are either boys, or girls may be preferring having friends with girls. That becomes their core support group, right? Or maybe it can be from geographical location. Suppose you are coming from Begumpet and there are several other students coming from Begumpet, you may tend to form a group. Suppose there are some students coming from Vishakhapatnam and there are several other students from the same area, they tend to form a group because of the similarity. So what I'm trying to tell you here is similarity is one important feature that helps you to decide, that helps you to form your own group, right? I may be forming group with female faculty members because I am a faculty. I am more comfortable with female faculty members and I form a core group with them, right? So having similar features in terms of gender, in terms of age, you may have groups of certain age. You may obviously not be comfortable having groups with final year students, right? Because you all are freshers, you may be more comfortable with your own peers of the same age. So these are the factors that play an important role in deciding what kind of individuals, on what parameters, on what features certain individuals come together to form a group. Now, obviously, understand one thing, you all are from VJIT, you all have joined VJIT with a purpose, with a motive. So you will form groups with your VJIT mates. Obviously, you will not go to CBIT and different colleges like Nalsar, St. Francis and form your different groups. You're not going to pick up one individual from each college or each university and form your core group, right? So what matters here is having some commonality, having some similarity with other individuals to form your own group. So to understand again, group is nothing but a set of several individuals that come together with a common purpose, with a common motive to achieve a certain goal. Now this goal can either be achieving, let's say, a trophy in a sport. Your group wants to perform, let's say, in a dance competition and achieve that goal, or it can be helping each other survive through the academic career and academic pressures, or it can be simply for recreational purposes of having fun. Even for having fun, even for going out for movies, you need company, you need a group, right? So this is how groups form. Then group dynamics. Group dynamics is what decides how a group is formed. It decides what are the structures of the group, what are the different processes, and how the group is going to function when they come together, how the individuals will perform when they come together. So group dynamics is something that is important both in a formal setting or in an informal setting. Now in formal setting, I mean colleges, universities, workplace, offices, etc. In informal settings, it refers to, again, your recreational activities. You may be having a group to enjoy, to have a cup of coffee, to go out for movies. That becomes your informal group. That is literally not going to help you to achieve a goal in your career front or in your academic front. They are only there with you to support you, to have fun, to enjoy life the way it is. So that it becomes your informal group, right? And in an organizational setting is where we find the most common organizational groups, or it can be study groups wherein people come together to study for group or for examinations. Here also dynamics plays an important role in understanding the behavior of the individual and in understanding the collective behavior of the groups, right? So we now will be looking at the development of group, how a group becomes a group, how it develops, how it forms, wherein again group dynamics is something that is very important in development of group. And here we have a theory that was given by a famous psychologist by the name of Homans, who actually suggested that a group is formed based on the activities that they have been assigned for. Suppose you have been assigned with a group activity of, let's say, a singing competition. So obviously you will choose your group very wisely with people who are good at music, with people who have great knowledge of playing an instrument, people who can sing well. So depending on the activity that you have been assigned, or let's say it's a group project that you have to do, maybe the project is on developing the wings of an aeroplane, getting the structure, architectural structure of a building, that is the project. So obviously you will look for people who are good at spatial abilities, who are good at analyzing things, who are good at giving shapes and structures to different objects. You will look for such people, right, to form your own group. Nobody would want to form a group with people who do not fit their agenda, who do not fit the requirement of the activity that has been assigned, right? So here the theory that was given by George Homans, it actually means, it suggests that people develop their groups based on the activities. Second important feature becomes their interaction, their ease of interaction. Now, it may be very difficult to form group even in a class, even in a group activity if you've been given. You may not want to form a group with people who do not speak your language, because language is important for communicating, whether it is verbal, whether it is non-verbal. So obviously you will think twice if you have to form a group with people who do not speak maybe Telugu, who are not able to speak in Hindi, because you know that because of language barrier, your group may be at a shortfall, your group may have a limitation, right? So the other thing is the way you interact, your interaction with certain individuals of a group. And another important factor becomes the sentiments or the emotional aspect of it. With some people, we may just develop sentiments. You may just like a person for their characteristics that they hold. You may have some sentimental value, even if the language doesn't match, even if your backgrounds don't match. There may be some emotional bonding between you and other humans, which is why a certain group may form, which becomes again your group of confidants, your group of important people that you can bank on, that you can rely on when you are being faced with an adversity, right? Fine. Then moving ahead, it is very important that all the elements are understood and taken together to understand the theory, to understand this theory of how individuals in a particular group interact with each other to formulate a certain group. Okay? Is it clear so far? I will just look for some questions if there are any. If you allow me a moment, there are certain questions that we can take up. Okay. There are a lot of people who are trying to understand from where their peers are coming. Are they coming from a certain location like Chandanagar? Some students have mentioned I'm coming from Chandanagar. Somebody has mentioned I'm coming from Langar House. Now, many speakers would think, why are they having irrelevant chats on my YouTube live chat? But honestly, this is not irrelevant for me, because this is also formation. These are also characteristics of forming a group. You may not have met each other as freshers, but you are already trying to understand from which area certain people are coming, because for all you know, you may end up traveling together. There are people who are trying to make initiative, who are trying to say hi, hello, I am so and so, trying to introduce, because these are certain characteristics. Not everybody takes the first step to introduce themselves. These are also what makes a human being. This also talks a lot about your psychology, right? And there are some people who are actually commenting in the chat box, who are asking for Instagram handles of different students. This again can be because you want to find out what the other person has similarity in you. You may want to find out how other people, from where they are coming, from which college they are coming, right? Some people are saying that they are coming from Hanmankonda, different places, etc. Still not able to locate any serious question or relevant question yet. Yeah, there is one question that I'll take up. A student asked me, Madam, if a student gets depressed or stressed while studying, how can a student control it? It's a very relevant question, although it may not be directly related to the topic that I'm dealing on. But yes, as a psychologist, I think it's my duty to take up every important question. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it is very common to feel stressed. It is very common to feel depressed, but your social group can actually help you overcome this stress. Your social group can actually help you overcome your depression. Suppose you have a group of friends, but your friends are also unable to understand that you are stressed, unable to understand you're depressed. Do you think there is a need to have such a group who will not even understand? And it is important that when you decide your group, when you call up your friend and tell them, hey, I am feeling sad today, hey, I am feeling low today, they should be open to you. They should be open enough to understand your problem and listen to your problem. Depression is a clinical illness which cannot easily be treated only with medication, with drugs, but it requires a lot of emotional support that primarily comes from first parents and second your friends. And sometimes for young children of your age, for adolescents, for young adults at the age of 20, 21, it's very difficult for them to communicate to their parents that I am feeling sad today because I have failed in an examination, because I am unable to impress other friends, because I am being judged, I am being bullied, I am being ragged in a classroom. So it is important that you take the first step to form your own core groups, because end of the day, if you have a good support system, even if that support system is there not emotionally but informationally, even informational support is important sometimes. I may, for example, I am stressed and depressed, I may have a group of friends, but I don't believe that I can emotionally rely on them. I don't believe that if I share my problems I will get some emotional cushioning or balming effect. But I may believe that if I share my problem, I may get some amount of information from my friends. They may tell me some case studies or examples that, my mother or my uncle or my aunt, my cousin had similar problem. Then they went to a psychologist, or they went for some healing. They went to a counselor. They went to a psychiatrist. Even informational support from your groups is as important as having physical support, as having emotional support, right? So understand the group dynamics, with which group you can expect your informational support, with which group you can expect your emotional support, and with which group you can expect some other tangible support in terms of financial expectations, in terms of other expectations, right? So, Saket, I hope I have answered your question fairly well. If yes, you can comment again. Thank you, Saket. Then I will take up another one more question before moving ahead. Yeah, another very interesting question that we have is by Shiva Bharat is, Madam, how do we handle and take care of mental health during the academic year within? Right. It's again a very relevant question, because as I told you, the life of a student, the academic life of a student is as stressful as it would be in childbirth, or as stressful as getting married, because you are transiting. It is a transitional phase, not just biologically, not just physiologically, you're not just transiting from your teenage to adulthood, but you're also transiting from being taken care of to taking care for. So earlier, as an adolescent, when you were in, let's say, your intermediate or college, you still have your parents who are taking care of you, who are bearing your financial expenditures, who are getting you educated. But once you get out of this life, once you get out of academic life, they are going to be, I mean, life is going to burden you with more pressures, wherein you will be taking care of your parents, wherein you will be responsible for certain decisions that you make in life, right? So it is very important that first you are able to deal with your own mental health issues while you are in that transition phase. Because if you are unable to manage this effectively during your college days or during your academic days, it will only pile up and reflect in your work later. Okay, and these are very basic tips that I can give you, uh, because we are all Indians, because I have faith in Indian psychology. I have faith more in Indian psychology than the Western psychology, than in theories given by Sigmund Freud or Carl Jung. There are wonderful, brilliant theories even in our Indian culture, right? So when I went for my first class of counseling, when I was being trained to become a counselor, I understood and I realized that the first counseling session that took place in the history of psychology was during Mahabharata, wherein Lord Krishna actually counseled Arjuna. Now, it was not paid for, it was not a professional job, but the process that took place during that time, when Arjuna was actually confused what to do, was in a state of anxiety, was in a state of stress, was unable to decide whether he should fight against his own brothers and own blood. Actually, the counseling session took place there on the battleground, wherein Krishna motivated him, wherein Krishna showed him the path, that what is right, what is wrong. So similar is the role of a counselor. Counselor can only tell you what is right, what is wrong. End of the day, you have to make your own decisions. So yeah, I believe a lot in the richness of our Indian psychology, richness of our Indian culture, which is why I place my faith in yoga, in the healing power of yoga, right? So this is what I have been suggesting to all my clients and students also, that practice yoga, practice meditation. I'm not saying to become a monk, to practice hours of meditation or yoga, but yes, yoga scientifically has shown to have effect on the functioning of your brain activities, on the functioning of your neural activities, and it has proved to reduce stress and anxiety, not just in students, even in adults, even in children, even in older age people, in patients undergoing chemotherapy, cancer treatment, in patients undergoing hypertension, BP issues, etc. So as students, simple thing you can take up is either do yoga, if not yoga, engage in some physical activity that will drain all your energy, that will not give you enough time to think about your stressors. Hit a gym, probably just work out in a gym, go for jogging, go for running, have good meal, a good planned nutritious diet, and not just rely on junk food, because again that has shown to have an effect even on your mental processes, right? So this is what I would suggest. Shiva Bharat, for your question. Thank you for your question again. So one second, let me see. Yeah, in continuation to the same, there's another student who has commented by Sanskar. Madam, by listening music, can we come out of depression? For this, I would suggest that certainly by listening to music, you cannot come out of depression. If you have been diagnosed clinically having depression, just music is not going to help. But music is one part of it. Music can be an alternative treatment. Okay, if it is a very extreme case of depression, you may need medication, you may need psychiatric treatment, but But if it is not that extreme, if you are only borderline depressed, if that depression is stemming out of your academic life, even counseling, even peer relationships can help you come out of it. But yes, in psychology, we do have music therapy. Again, not all kinds of music. I am not talking about jazz. I am not talking about psychedelic music or something like that. I am talking about pure spiritual music that has healing power. If you all read about music therapy, there is something called music therapy. There are certain chords that have shown scientifically to hit certain neural processes in your brain and to relax you down, to calm you down, to put you to sleep for people who have insomnia related symptoms and depression. So yes, music does help, but you need to choose the right kind of music, not the Bollywood music, not rap songs. These are not going to help you come out of depression, obviously. It may temporarily give you relief, it may temporarily put you away from your thoughts. But yes, certain kinds of music does have healing properties. If you read about music therapy, you will understand more about that. Okay, so I'll take up more questions maybe after 15 minutes. I will again shift your attention back to the topic of group dynamics that we were discussing upon. And yeah, so there's another very famous theorist or a psychologist whose name is Tuckman, Tuckman, Tuckman. He actually gave certain principles and rules for formation of group, for the development of group. And he said, this gentleman said that there are 5 stages. There are basically 5 stages that we need to undergo to formulate a group that helps in determining the formation of a group. So I'll go step by step and try to explain you how we can form a group, right? The first very important is formation stage. Forming, it's known as forming or formation stage, and this stage usually is characterized by confusion, uncertainties, because it's the very first stage. Remember, nobody is very perfect in the very first beginning or the first step. So the first stage of formation or forming is filled with uncertainties, filled with doubts and confusions. So let's say you enter the college today, you go to VJIT, you meet several people, and in your head you decide on the very first day that I want to be friends with so and so people based on the first impression. But second day you interact with them again, and then you realize that no, probably we are two different people. On third day you find out about a lot of differences with those people, and on the fourth day you decide I cannot be friends with such people because they are cunning, because they are selfish, because they do not like the same music that I like, right? So the first stage, that is the formation stage, the phase where you have to decide with whom to be friends, whom to form groups with. It is always filled with a lot of doubts, a lot of uncertainties, which progresses slowly and becomes clearer with time and with more interaction, right? And here, in the very first stage, the rules of the groups, the major goals of the groups are not clearly understood, are not clearly established, or not clearly set. The priorities are not known of different people in the first stage of formation. Hence, it is the nature, by nature, forming a group itself is a task, forming a group itself is difficult, right? So it is with the period of time when the members get to know each other, when they interact, when they share their expectations out of each other, when two friends say that, I expect you to help me understand certain topics in the examination, or maybe I expect that you will help me in cheating in the examination. That can also be your common characteristic that you gel along with. So here you understand the trust factor about how open you can be with your group mates, how much you can trust each other, what is the purpose of being together. Are you gaining anything out of it, or are you losing certain things? Are you rushing into it very quickly, or have you given it enough time to strengthen itself? Have you given it enough time to share your feelings, right? So here the group forms. This is your first stage where the group formation takes place with your emotional connect, with the interaction that you have with each other. And here here in the first phase of formation, there is no emergence of a leader. Every group, remember, every group has a central personality or a leader that usually moderates the activities of a group, that usually takes up charge for planning and executing certain tasks. But in the formation stage, the very first stage, the group leader has not emerged yet. Okay, it's only that the participants have come together. They're still evaluating, should we be together, should we be friends or no, should we be partners in accomplishing a certain task or no. Hence, there is no leader yet. Okay, but there will be a leader soon in the coming stages of formation. All right, right. Now, the second stage is called storming. It's storming, storming, right? In the second stage of storming, actually you see high level of conflict, high level of disagreement with each other. In the initial stage, you have already made preferences, you have already made friends, you have already come together and formed a group. But later, when you start working towards achieving a certain goal, achieving towards understanding each other better after the group formation, here in the second stage of storming, you get to know the inner realities of human beings. You get to know what they agree with you, whether they disagree with you, and to what level can that disagreement can go to what level the conflict can go to. Will that conflict and disagreement work positively in understanding and accepting each other, or will that disagreement break your group? Will that disagreement lead to one or two persons leaving the group because they realize we cannot get along with such people, right? Here in this stage we see a lot of struggle for achieving power. Everybody together wants to be more powerful than the other, right? Here individuals often struggle and fight with each other to become the leaders or to become the central position character of the group. Okay, this is a stage where a lot of changes happen. This is a stage where everybody is fighting for themselves to be in the central position. Okay, and as I said, this can be a positive experience for every member if you take the critical judgments, if you take the critical evaluations of others positively, if you take the negatives of it and help everybody to retain in their group with the existing differences. If you are able to sort out the differences effectively here, then you move to the third stage. Then you have successfully crossed the second stage of storming, and then you move to the third stage. Just give me a moment, please excuse me. Maybe I can take up one or two questions more. With the second stage, I'll stop here for a moment. One very interesting question that I have got from a student is, ma'am, how to eliminate procrastination? Now, procrastination is not something that I'm teaching you right now or not discussing, but I think, yeah, as students, it is very important for you to understand procrastination. What is procrastination? Basically, your tendency to avoid doing things, your tendency to delay or postpone your activities. So, for example, you have a group activity to do, but you keep procrastinating. You keep saying, I'll do it tomorrow. I will do this later. I'm not interested in doing right now. That is procrastination. Okay. And usually, people who procrastinate, they always have a logical reasoning for it. They always have a backup for it. They say, I am not doing this right now because I am tired, because I have to do something else. They always have reasons to procrastinate. And yes, very wonderful to ask, how can we eliminate it? I think the only way to eliminate it is having self-discipline. People who are disciplined, people who have certain set goals, people who feel responsible in a group activity that my failure, my success is going to decide the future course of every individual. When you take up charge, when you become responsible for your other group people, then obviously you can eliminate procrastination. which is why I said it's very important in the second stage to find out who are the like-minded people, to find out who is going to be leader out of the 5 or 10 of you in the group setting, because a leader can effectively, steer the group, drive the car for you and take you to the right place, right? So that is how you can avoid procrastination, by having a strong personality with a central position, to be not really a leader who will dominate you, but understand your strengths and weaknesses and help the group to perform better. Okay, then I have another question by Anmol, who is asking me, ma'am, what if we are not in reach of our friends, then how to deal with our anxiety and depression? So first of all, I think this question is little unclear when you ask me, when we are not in reach with our friends, does that mean that your friends, you don't have friends? Or does that mean that your friends are not available to you? Or probably you don't have connection in terms of internet, Wi-Fi, phone calls, etc. So the question itself is little unclear, that what if we are not in reach of our friends? Because yeah, introverts, if you're an introvert, if you like being just by yourself and you do not like being dependent on others, then maybe you may have small amount of friends or less amount of friends, but definitely you will still have friends. So Anmol, maybe you can reframe your question and be little more clear for me to answer your question, right? Yeah, another last question that I'll take up for this 15-minute slot is, how can we manage time to study for exams and prepare for lab exams in less time of 3 months? And how can we get relief from this stress? Wonderful question. This is by Chandralekha. See, Chandalekha, or any student for that matter, if you find your lab examinations and your 3 months of examinations stressful, that is your personal characteristic. For all you know, I may not find it stressful because of my human characteristic. And I think I have told this several times to my students also, failure and success is not defined by the marks that you get. And this is something very important that we all, as teachers, as parents, we understand and agree to it. I think parents have become so demanding. Parental expectations have become so, enormous on their children, that they always constantly are being stressed to achieve, to get good marks. But for me, learning is more important. For me, life experiences are more important. So I'll give you a comparison. I'll try to make you understand in a better way. Your marks, your educational degree, your qualification, whether you're BTech, B.Ed, or MTech, whatever you are, your educational qualification is a pizza base. Have you guys ever eaten a pizza or seen a pizza? It's the base of the pizza. That is your educational qualification, the marks that you get. Yeah, right? So have you ever seen people eating only pizza base without any cheese, without any topping to it? No, right? I mean, which normal human or which intelligent person would prefer eating only the pizza base, unless and until you are an animal, unless and until you are a dog or a cow, who would be happy eating a pizza base, right? This is on a very lighter note that I'm trying to engage you students. But yeah, compare your education and your marks to a pizza base, which is typically irrelevant unless and until you have good toppings over it. Now, some people may prefer toppings of, let's say, chicken sausages or cheese and olives, etc. Some people may choose to have toppings like pineapple, corn, bell pepper, etc. Some people may choose to have plain margherita cheese topping. Some people may choose to have barbecue sauce or some other toppings, different kind of toppings. Now, these toppings that you choose in life, these toppings are your central characteristics. Your confidence, your self-esteem, your self-efficacy, your knowledge, your experiences. No two people can have the same experiences. No two people can have the same self-efficacy. No two people can have the same level of confidence. Right? So the way you make your pizza is based on your characteristics. And unless and until the pizza has toppings, it is irrelevant. So let me tell you, today if you have a degree, today if you have got 98 or 9 CGPA, you may get a job, you may get a brilliant job as a software engineer, you may run a firm. But what is the point of running a firm if you are an introvert, if you don't like groups, if you don't like to talk to people, if you're not confident, if you're underconfident? You will fail as a CEO, you will fail as a software developer. Even for developing a software, the work is not done by one person. There are certain levels. One person will design, one person will execute, one person will edit, one person will formulate it. So it is a group work, it's a team work, right? So when you ask me questions, how to prepare and how to get over the stress that you have, I don't think there should be any reason after I have said so much for you to feel stressed. When you take it more on a lighter note, when you take it not as I have to get 9 CGPA or 10 CGPA, when you understand the essence of learning, when you understand the essence of achieving, then it becomes more important than simply getting marks in your life. Right. So I think I was able to answer your question, Chandralekha. Right. Right. There are some more questions which we'll take up maybe after 15 more minutes. I will again have to steer you back to the topic that I was dealing with, that is group dynamics. So yeah, we spoke about 2 stages of group dynamics, first being the formating stage or the formation or forming of groups, and second stage being the storming stage, wherein different ideas, conflicts, disagreements are stormed upon people. Now the third step or the third stage is called norming. Norming. It's called norming. Right. Now in this stage, usually the group comes closer. The group comes closer together in cohesiveness, in understanding the characteristics of different individuals. So let's say even in a group that you share common aspects, common backgrounds, like same caste, same age, same religion, same geographical location, same language, you formed a group. Now you come together in terms of your personality aspects in the third state of norming. You realize that this person is good at this skill, second person is good at communication, third person is good at this. You basically identify the strengths. You identify the strengths of your group members and you come closer together. Right. Here you understand the expectations that you have from each other, the shared expectations, not the negative disagreements, but the positive acceptance. Okay. And by this time of group formation of group, people will develop a feeling of cohesiveness. Now cohesiveness is something that pulls you together, that pulls you, binds you together. It's like atta. When you make a dough, it comes together, right? The powder, it comes together. So this is the third stage of binding, because whoever wanted to leave the group has already left in the storming stage, 1 or 2 people. In the third one, you have a core group that is being binded together because of certain similarities and characteristics. Your expectations from each other becomes clear here, right? People start to be more cooperative with each other because they know by cooperation, by acceptance, we are going to yield certain results, right? Your responsibilities are also divided among the group members in order to achieve a certain goal. Like let's say the goal is to compose a song. So your responsibilities are divided, that person A will compose the lyrics, person B will compose the music, person C will take care of arranging all the instruments and mic testing, etc. Person C will only sing. Person E will record the music. So your roles and responsibilities becomes clear in this part of stage, in this stage of group formation, group dynamics. Okay, right. Then moving ahead to stage 4. Now stage 4 is performing. It's called performing. Okay, and here performing occurs when the group has already attained maturity. The group has become mature enough in understanding the differences and understanding the similarities and accepting, in dividing the work. Everything has happened. Here the performance state comes only when you're ready, when you're mature enough to show your talent, to show your output, to show your whatever you have done together as a group. Here you have a strong feeling of cohesiveness. At this point of stage, individuals begin to accept each other irrespective of the conflicts. Here also you may have some conflicts. Here also you may oppose each other. But here you have learned to accept each other. Okay. And even if your other person in the group is doing something wrong, you will have the, the burden or the individuality to rationalize their mistakes, and you will focus only on the good aspect of the person, on the good aspect of the individual. Okay, so this is the 4th stage of performing. It's your give and take here, how you're giving back to the group members, how closely bound you all are. It is the time to showcase your performance. Okay, and one very last stage, which is called adjourning, Adjourning. It's called adjourning. Now this stage of group, not every group reaches this stage. Not all groups are successful in reaching to the stage 5, that is called adjourning. This stage is experienced only by some of the groups who have been able to surpass all the 4 other groups, all the 4 other stages. Some groups are relatively permanent. So here, if you come to this stage, you know that your group is going to be permanent or long lasting. It will last for a longer period. It will be for a longer time, right? And here you have common reasons to be together, to accomplish certain tasks. Even if you fulfill in that task, tomorrow if you have been given another group assignment, you will go back to the same group. You will say, because once I have done well with this group, I want the same group back again because we get along well. This you must have experienced in your lower classes, in your college days, etc. Right? So again, your tendency to go back to the same individuals and same group, experience the same feeling. Here you have a feeling of closure. You get a closure. You don't want to start again with a new system, with new people, see, again conflicts. Okay, which is why you go back to the same group during the adjourning stage. Right? I hope I was clear till here. This is the 5 stages of group formation has been completed, and I will again look for some questions that students have been asking me so far. Ma'am, teachers, students, I hope I've been clear so far. If you all can just give me a quick feedback if I was audible enough and if there was no problem from my end. Anybody? So, very quickly, I'll take up some questions.
Madam, I
Yeah.
think you're going super cool, and the students also are assimilating all your points. I think you can go ahead with your schedule, no issues, ma'am. If there are any healthy questions, I think I'll put forward to you at the end of the session. Please carry on. Thank you.
All right. That's wonderful to know that students are also enjoying the session and they are engaging in certain question answers with me. Definitely, I'll take up some very strong questions toward the end of the session. And I'm trying not to drift away much from the topic that I have chosen for today, but also it's relevant. It's also relevant that we speak on certain other issues related to stress, related to academic achievement, related to motivation, etc. Which is why I feel it's necessary for me to take up certain questions. Right. So going back to the YouTube comments and looking for more questions, which will help most of you. Give me a moment. There is one interesting question by Samir who is asking me, how can we put interest on studies after a long time, ma'am? So again, it is little unclear to understand. Do you mean putting interest in studies after a long time, as in you have taken a long break from studies? Because of whatever reasons you may have dropped out and then you're going back to studies, or are you trying to throw some light on the current situation of pandemic wherein we all did not have classes for maybe a very long time, and many of us have not even given the final examinations of 12th class or undergraduation and just being promoted by the government, local government authorities. So I don't know if this is what you're trying to tell me, that, you haven't been to a college for the last 4-5 months or last 7-8 months, and now suddenly you have been asked, or you are in that situation where you have to study, where you have to cope with the current trend. So I think this situation is still easier, Samir. I think this situation is still easier than studying all your life and suddenly having a break because of the pandemic. So that was not only for students, that was for every individual. It was for every working professional. It was for every IT sector employee who was habituated to go, sit on their desk, develop their software, work on customer support, and come back home. But now, after this entire work from home process, study from home process, things have changed. We are trying to adapt. I think that is the best ability of a human being, to be able to adapt to situations. I'm not saying all of us can adapt easily. Many of us cannot adapt easily because of certain issues. But yeah, the best ability of a human being is to adapt. And when one could adapt from going to a college every day and sitting at home for 7-8 months and not studying, they can definitely adapt from this to going back to college and studying. Because if your motives are clear, if your intentions are clear, that you want to have a degree, you want to have a good job, be successful, then I don't think it's going to be very difficult, right? It's I think it may be difficult for younger generation students who have only experienced virtual education. I mean, imagine there are students who have just got into LKG, UKG, first standard, who are being bombarded with virtual education, with classes online. Now, if these students have to go to school tomorrow or next year, they will face challenges because they have never been exposed to it. But I think all of you here attending my session have been exposed to formal education in an educational setting. We all have gone to colleges before. We all have visited schools, sat there for 10 years, 12 years, studied. So I don't think adapting to that situation again is going to be very difficult. I think it is doable. It is very much doable. Right, Samir? I hope I was able to answer your question. Uh, yeah, this is a very interesting question, which maybe, I don't know, one of the organizers can take it up. What is the motto of induction program? Maybe your institute and your organizers can explain you better. But yes, as a psychologist, I believe that induction program is to show you light. Okay, you have just come out of your intermediate, you have another 3 or 4 years of education left, you are going to change your career from probably studying commerce to getting into science. I think, according to me, the entire motto or the entire purpose of an induction program is to break the ice. It's more like an ice breaking session. It's a session to let you know how your future course is going to be, to let you know how your next 3-4 years are going to be here. It's meant for students to be more comfortable. Okay, now there are two ways to do it. One way is informally, by giving a freshers party, calling the students, having a disco party, or giving them refreshments, having some performances. That's an informal way of inducing the students, or having an induction program in the name of a freshers party. Right. But in a formal setting, induction program is meant to make the students understand the guidelines of the university or the college that you will be studying in, the expectations of college, your expectations that you may have, to make you prepare you. Basically, it's to prepare you both physically and mentally to be a part of the system, to be a part of the new life that you will undergo. Right? It's like any training program. If you join a new company, first 1 month or first several months are dedicated only for training. So induction is nothing but training you to behave in a certain way, training you to work in a certain way. That is the main reason for an induction program. I hope I was able to answer your question, Jaya. Uh, one more question that I will be taking up is how to become a leader of a group. I think this is one of the most interesting questions that I have got, which is very much related to my topic, which I will take up. How to become a leader of a group. I was just teaching about group dynamics and group cohesiveness. And in the second stage, I said there becomes a prominent leader figure in the group, or a prominent person who becomes the unsaid leader. Nobody has voted for him. Nobody has decided that, hey, X person is going to be the leader of my group. But it comes naturally. Some people, some people naturally have the traits in them to be outspoken, to take the first step, to take initiative, to take the blame. Trust me, the role of a leader is not only to lead and take all the positives, not to take all the credits. The role of a leader is that of a responsibility. Because if your group fails in a task, if your friends fail in a task, then you are responsible. You are primarily responsible. The role of a leader is to delegate work based on the strengths of every individual. A leader is somebody who will be able to understand in a group what characteristic, what strengths certain people hold, and then delegate work to them. Okay, suppose I'm the leader of a group, and if I know that X person is good in designing a robot, and if I know that Y person is good at explaining the concept to a larger population, okay, then I should assign them that particular task. I cannot ask Y person who is good at articulating and explaining. I cannot ask Y person that you sit and design the robot, and the one who actually knows designing, I can't ask him that you go out in the market and sell the product. So basically, a leader is somebody who understands a set of skills of other individuals, and then they divide the work accordingly. A leader is formed with his or her own capabilities, his or her own abilities to take the risk, to fail, to take the risk to achieve, right? Because the central responsibility comes on the leader of the group. Okay, so I hope I was able to answer your question, Shashank. So another very interesting comment that we have got from Akash is, yes, ma'am, we have been quarantined for so long that we are not in a mood of, getting back to studies, that we are in a mood of procrastinating. I think it is only situational. Once the situation gets back to normalcy, yeah, this is the new normal, I agree. But when it gets back to the old normal, which will happen either today or tomorrow, I do not know, which will happen one day, then things will get back to normal again. Then we will learn a new way of living again. Right. So very good that you supported the same thing, that yes, it is the situation that has caused certain problems. Right. So I will go back to completing my topic, giving it another 15 minutes to complete the topic. Right. Hold on. Yeah. So I'll be speaking on group structure now. Okay, group structure. Till now we've spoken about, one second. Yeah, till now we have spoken about group formation and stages of group development, but now we'll be speaking about group structure. Now, group structure is nothing but it is a fixed pattern pattern of relationships among members of the group, and what is it that holds the group together, what is it that will help the group to achieve certain assigned goals. Okay, now this structure can be explained and described in variety of ways. Okay, it can be explained based on variety of ways, based on the size of the group, number of individuals that are present in that group. That is one important aspect. Second is the role of the group. What is the intention behind this group? Is this group formed only to have fun? Is this group formed to achieve a particular task? Is this group formed to study together? Okay, what are the norms of the group? What is the cohesiveness? How closely related every member in the group are? This will explain you the structure of the group. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So, first we speak about the size of the group. Any group can range from having 2 people in it to maximum can go up to any number. It can be 100, it can be 10, it can be 12, right? But it is very important to decide how many members can fit in one group. A group can have even 100 people, group can have 50 people. But ideally, psychologically, it has been said that if you have more than 10 to 12 members in a group, then more conflicts will arise. Then it will be difficult for you to stick to that group. It will be difficult to manage that group. So a group should have at least 2 people in it, and it can go up to 10 to 12 people, because if number of people increases, then the effectiveness, then the efficacy of the group decreases. Right. Now I'll tell you why that happens. If there are more number of people, suppose I have made one group with 5 people and I have made a group of 100 people. And if I give them the same task, to achieve, those 5 people will put in more effort to achieve that task. And there's a high possibility that those 5 people will win. Whereas in the other group of 100 people, although there are more number of people, everybody will start feeling, why should I do this task? Why should I do this task? Because there are more 90, 98 people. I don't have to do it. Others will do it for me. That tendency arises. Okay, your sense of responsibility dilutes because you don't have a clear-cut position or you don't have a clear role to perform in the group. Understood? Which is why it is very important to decide the number of people in the group. If it is a smaller group, their efficiency is better, their result is better when compared to larger groups of 50 or 100 people, wherein the individual responsibility of every participant gets diluted. Okay, I hope it made sense about size of the group. More the number of people in the group, less will be the satisfaction also. Suppose 100 people win a trophy and 5 people win a trophy. There's a lot of difference. You will not have the internal satisfaction when you win a trophy with 99 other people, but you will have more satisfaction when you win the trophy with 4 other people in your group, right? Because again, the sense of being connected is more in a smaller group, right? Next is the role of a group. What is the group role that has been assigned? Is it a formal group that has been predetermined by your teacher, assigned? Like in many group projects, we see that teachers are the ones who assign the groups. Teachers are the ones who divide the groups. It can be based randomly. They can pick up random groups and make them. They can make groups based on roll number 1 and roll number 10, roll number 2 and roll number 9. It can be different permutations and combinations to formulate a group. Okay, if the group is pre-designed by someone else, then obviously it will be very different from their characteristics and their behavior and their performance when compared to when you have to choose your own group. Wouldn't you all agree with me on that? It's better and easier for you to choose your own group, because then you will choose the people you get along with, you will choose the people with similarities, you will choose the people that you like, isn't it? So the group role either it is predetermined in a formal setting, the members are assigned by somebody who is superior, roles and responsibilities are set out, are laid down clearly by the superior person, okay, and your task, your role is only to be there in the group and work together in a cordial manner. That becomes a very formal group. Then there are work assigned or task assigned group that comes in organizational settings, wherein there are different teams, there are team leaders. So there are different teams who are all working on the same problem, trying to achieve a certain goal, because you all have same education characteristics. That becomes more in a work setting or a workplace environment, right? Then there are social groups. Now these social groups are more based on your emotional activities. It's more based on your emotional connect, your personal commitment, your personal relationships with people, okay, your personal understanding with people, your friends. These can be your friends, your neighbors, your childhood friends, etc. Right. Now, in every group, there can be certain amount of conflict in terms of roles, in terms of who will be the leader, who will do this task, who will do that task, etc. So here there is a conflict in roles, conflict in determining the roles. Okay, there are several different forms of role conflict. Okay, there are several conflicts also, different conflicts. There can be conflict that occurs, for example, in work roles and family roles often compete with one another and cause conflict. And there is conflict. Basically, there's conflict when you are demanded or you are expected to perform for something that you are not capable of doing. Like I was giving you the example, a person is good in marketing and selling the product, but actually that person by the leader has been said that you are supposed to design the product and not sell it. Selling, someone else will do it. There is a conflict of your role because you are not qualified enough to sell the product, but you're qualified enough to design the product. So there comes the group conflict. Another important topic that I wanted to focus on was group cohesiveness, which I'll speak in maybe another 2 minutes. Before that, I'll take up certain more questions that have been popping up in the chat box so far. If you allow me a moment, I'll take up 1 or 2 questions more. Yeah, ma'am, ma'am, as we were in lockdown for very long time, now the colleges are able to restart. So how can we involve into it, or how can we concentrate as we were involving before? Yeah, it's so again a repetition of the earlier question that I have already spoken about, that it may be challenging for many people to get back to colleges, to get back to the education system, but I think it is less challenging because you have been exposed to 10 or 12 years of formal education before. So this is not the change that you have to adapt to. This is getting back to your normal self. The change that you actually adapted to was sitting at home, was working from home. So that was the change. And if you were able to adapt to that, then I don't think this is difficult. And if you weren't able to adapt to that change, then technically you don't have to change again. Technically, you are just in the same phase of mind of formal education. So I don't think logically, as a psychologist, I don't think it's going to be very difficult to adjust back to the earlier method of teaching. It will not be difficult to go back to the earlier ways of learning and interacting in a classroom. And also I feel more effective learning takes place in a classroom setting or in a university or college setting, because we are providing a space for individuals of certain age groups, individuals of common backgrounds to come together and have critical discussions, critical arguments, debates that will enhance your learning, that will enhance your understanding capabilities, not by looking at YouTube videos, not by having webinars, not by having virtual classes wherein some of the students are simply turning off their cameras and audios and doing whatever they like. This is not the kind of learning that will make you qualified enough, I feel. You may still get marks. At the end of the day, you may get marks by online teaching. But in the long run, you are missing out on the personal connect with human beings. You are missing out on learning from your experiences and from your failures and from your mistakes, right? So take it in a positive direction, students. When you have to go back to college, take it more positively, not negatively as a challenge that, array, after 8 months of staying at home, having a very pleasant stay, I have to go back to college. Trust me, you will not get back this time again of college life, of experiencing learning patterns in college life, right? Another question. Uh, a very interesting question Sagar has asked me, ma'am, is it okay to be an introvert? I think I am not the right person to tell you whether it's okay to be an introvert or not okay to be an introvert. For that matter, nobody in this world can tell you it's okay or it's not okay, because being introvert or being extrovert or being ambivert is your personality. And no personality is a good personality or a bad personality, right? You may be introvert because of your experiences, because probably you don't like talking much to people, but you may have a small group and you're able to perform well with them. Even by being introvert, you are achieving a lot of things, you are successful, you are happy. Some introverts are happy with this just themselves. So I don't think being an introvert is a wrong thing. Introverts are not smaller than extroverts. Introverts are in no way, lesser in their abilities when compared to extroverts. I am an extrovert personally myself, but being extrovert is only giving me that benefit of being vocal, open, share my thoughts clearly. Maybe introverts cannot do that, but that doesn't make them wrong. I mean, there is no question of being right or being wrong in this. So, Sagar, I want you to understand that being extrovert or being introvert is not really an important characteristic, but how you're able to deal with things by being an introvert or extrovert is more important. If by being introvert, you are unable to even share your personal feelings with your very close people also, then it is going to be problematic to you, not to the world. Right? So I hope I was able to answer your question, Sagar. I'll take up one more last question for now. One question that I have received very interesting is, ma'am, how can we form a group of friends without meeting or knowing each other physically? Very true. Maybe to form a group, you need to personally meet people, understand. But given the situation, if we were able to take classes online, if we were able to, look at people virtually and talk to each other, then why can't we formulate friends? If you know, I mean, if you actually look at the different applications that are being used for online marriages, online dating apps, online friendship apps, they all happen virtually, right? At the end of the day. And as youngsters, I think you and we should be doing it better. So when relationships can be built online, when relationships can be happy marriages, when happy marriages can be got together through online matrimonial sites, then why can't friendships happen and why can't groups form online? That's my question. And already, when I started my interaction with you all, already I saw so many people are asking each other that, hey, are you from this stream of education? Are you from CSC? Are you from SP? Or whatever? Are you from this college? Are you from Langar House? Already people have started to interact. And this is helping you form first impressions of other people, your classmates, your batchmates. I'm sure most of you right now may be scrolling through the comment section in YouTube. You may be looking for some similar people who are staying close by. You might come across somebody coming from Medipatnam and you may think, hey, this person stays close by. You will probably after the session go and Google their name, Facebook their name, search them, ping them or something like that. So I don't think it is wrong or it is impossible to make a group of friends online, because if dating can happen online, if friendships can happen online, if marriages can happen online, even this can happen online, even friends from similar background. And trust me, it's easier to form groups and friends online right now because there is something common. All of you are students of VJIT, are going to be aspiring students of VJIT. All of you will be in one particular class. You may have induction sessions based on your classes, or you will have it later on maybe. So you will identify with certain people, with the way they talk, with the way they introduce. Some people will introduce themselves that I have studied accounts in my 11th and 12th. Even you have studied accounts. So immediately your brain will start to recollect. Your brain will start to memorize and associate yourselves with this person has studied this thing. This person is a Telugu. This person is from Vishakhapatnam. You will start to associate yourself with them and see how you will form groups then. It's not difficult, right? So I will very quickly complete my topic, which will take another few minutes, and then I'll answer all the related questions and the leftover questions for now. So yeah, going back to the meaning of cohesiveness. So as I said, one very important feature of group dynamics is called group cohesiveness. So now I'll be explaining you what group cohesiveness means. Group cohesiveness is nothing but one important characteristic feature of a group which is important from the behavior's point of view, from the point of view of behavior, actions. Okay, and cohesiveness is the degree to which group members are attracted to each other. It's a degree to which the group members are motivated to be together in that particular group and not leave the group. Understand? So let's say I have a group of my friends. It is called cohesive only if I want to live in that group, only if I want to work with them, only if I enjoy being with them. That means the group is cohesive enough to be together then, right? It is nothing but in very simple terms, in very layman language, if I have to put it, it is your liking for every member of the group. It is how much you like a particular member in the group, and will that bind your group together. That is known as group cohesiveness. Okay, it also refers to the unity, to the extent of unity which is reflected in every member and in the entire group. So if I give you a task, if I give a group of 5 people a task, and if I ask the decision of person A, yeah, the group decision of person A should be same to group decision of person B, and that should be similar to the group decision of person C. So that means everybody in the group are on the same page. They're together in making a decision. As a group, they reflect the same decision. As an individual, their personal stand is also the same decision. That means group cohesiveness. That means the extent to which they are united. The feature of being united, of feeling responsible for each other, that is called group cohesiveness. Right. It also refers to the attraction between the group members, the conformity, how intertwined they are with each other, right? And greater the group members are cohesive to each other, better will be the outcome of it. Better will be the achievement capability of the group. Okay, and if you're cohesive enough, you will also be able to persuade your friends better. So for example, this can work both positively and it can work negatively, right? Persuasion is a skill. If sometime one person in a group is doing something wrong, but your group is so cohesive that you are attracted to each other like magnets, If the second person supports the wrong thing or gives you the wrong path, you will also follow the wrong path. So group cohesiveness can also be negative. If one member does wrong, everybody will also do wrong with them. So group cohesiveness is nothing but a characteristic that unites the group, that puts them together, whether in positive or in negative. So I'll tell you what are some of the consequences or some of the positive benefits of having a cohesive group. When one person has a cohesive group, the participation of every member increases. Suppose I am placed in a group where I am not attracted to the members mentally, I am not with them on the same line, then I will not want to make any decision or be a part of that group. I will not participate in any of their activities. I will probably bunk those activities. I will not give my 100% to it. But if you're cohesive, you will give your 100% participation in the group activity. Okay, which is why it is important to choose the members very wisely. As a result, the members will participate actively in group affairs and in the activities if there is more cohesiveness. Okay. If the strength of the group is not very cohesive enough, then the outcome will also be very low. The outcome will also be, it's proportional to each other, right? So because I have said that there will be more participation, then that moves you to more of success. Groups that are more cohesive, who are mutually together, mutually dependent on each other, they have shown to be more successful when compared to groups that have had low cohesiveness. The goal achievement is easier. The goal achievement process is easier if your group is cohesive. Okay, because there is high degree of trust between the members, because the relationship, the degree of communication, the participation is high, the coordination is extremely well, that results in a lot of agreements between the members, which results finally in achievement of a task, in achievement of a goal. Obviously, if there is more cohesiveness, the communication is also better in the group. There will be people who will share common ideologies, common goals, common backgrounds, attitudes. They will communicate. They will communicate to their friends in the group. And this communication will in turn reinforce their relationship, will foster their relationship, which will build more potential personal relationships within the group. And this further another positive side of it, of group cohesiveness, is it will bring a sense of personal satisfaction. It has been seen through experiments and theories that if members of the group are cohesive, they are more satisfied when compared to the persons of groups that are not cohesive. Okay, so because people who are not satisfied, if they're not cohesive enough, they will automatically leave the group and they will join some other group. Hence, members who are more satisfied can be because of several reasons. That can be friendliness, it can be mutual respect, trust. Once you have achieved together as a group, second time you might trust more. They give you, basically your group members are able to give you the sense of achievement, sense of security, sense of protection. Okay, so yeah, these are the certain characteristics that I wanted to highlight when it came to group dynamics and discussions on formation of groups, need of a group, etc. With this, more or less, I have completed what I had to share from my end. But yeah, like I've been saying again and again, it's very important to address all your questions, even if it is not directly related to the topic. I think because it's an induction program, it will help you to seek answers for many of the common queries that you may be having as students. So one by one, I'll start addressing that now, if you just allow me a moment. I am mainly taking up the questions from YouTube chat, but if you have any other questions, you can send it to the organizers as well, to the management as well, and they can take it up maybe in the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Any important questions If you want to ask and you do not want your name to be reflected on the chat box, probably you can even send it privately to the organizers. Yeah. So, ma'am, was it okay so far? Can I go ahead with some questions now?
Yeah, ma. Yeah, yes, ma'am. It was super cool. I think you can go ahead. Sure.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. There are, I think, certain technical questions that students have regarding will they get IDs, how will the classes happen and all. So I think most of the students are anxious or curious enough to understand how will the classes happen. Will it happen on Zoom? Will it happen in Google? First of all, I'm not the right person to answer this, but let me tell you, stop being anxious about it. Stop thinking about how the classes will happen, because ultimately you will get your answers. The management is here for a reason. They will keep you posted on everything. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be anxious. As a student, your role is to focus on your work, not on their job. So I think you students should just relax, sit back, and not think about how the classes will happen, when will it happen. You will get your timetable. Your work is to enroll and study and achieve for yourself, not for the society, not for your parents, not for the teachers, for yourself, based on your own capabilities. So, lot of comments that are coming on how the classes will happen. Relax, you will get to know about it. So, another is, yeah, I have to scroll back to many other questions now. A very interesting question by Yuvraj is, if everyone thinks that they are leader, then they don't follow their mates. Very correct and very relevant, Yuvraj. Suppose if everyone thinks that they are leader in a group, then I believe that the group will not survive. There will be no cohesiveness. Because like I said, in the formulation stage itself, and in the second stage of norming, if everyone wants to be a leader, everyone will be dominating. So, in a family also, if both the parents, if the grandparents, if the children, everybody is dominating, everybody is a leader, do you think that family will survive? The family will break. Same is the case with any group. If everybody becomes a leader in the group, everybody starts to dominate their thoughts on the other members of the group mates, the group will automatically break in stage 2. It will never reach the 4th stage or the 5th stage. Right, which is why I told you the formation of a leader usually happens in stage 2, stage 3. So in stage 2, when there are certain conflicts, when there are disagreements, that exactly stems because of different personalities. Ultimately, the people who survive through stage 2 and go to stage 3 are lesser in number, who have different characteristics. One out of them will be an introvert, one will be an extrovert, one will be somebody who's trying to balance out things, one will become more dominating and show the traits of a leader, right? So, stage 2 itself will eliminate the people who are not needed in the group. Okay, I hope I was able to answer your question about having several leaders in one certain group. So, just hold on. Another question was how to increase self-confidence when we fall down, how to bounce again. You know, there is a concept of resilience. In psychology, we have a concept of resilience, which exactly means that bouncing back, the technical literal definition of it is bouncing back from adversity or from a downfall. Now, resilience is something that is present in every human being. Okay, when you're born, everybody has the ability of resilience, but not everyone is able to showcase it. Okay, it's like everyone has a certain skill, but not everyone are able to show the certain skill. I am sorry, I have a power cut, which is why there is lack of lighting from my end, but kindly follow the audio and try to make sense out of it. It will come back soon. Yeah. So, yeah, going back to the topic, I was saying that everyone has the ability to bounce back from an adversity, from failures. You only need the right set of people. You only need the right kind of motivation to come out of that problem. Which is why I said it's very important to choose the right set of people for your group, for your core group of friends, for your core peer groups. Okay. So that was my answer, that you can increase your ability to bounce back from your problem if you are able to have a group of confidence, that you can depend upon, that you can rely upon. Okay. Next one says, talking about group, why don't we students just create a group? Just saying. I think Sagar, yeah, that's a very great suggestion, and maybe your respected faculty members can also help you to break the ice, break the session with each other. Ice breaking session is very important. It's very important to know each other as students, as batchmates, because you are going to be together for the next 3 years, for the next 4 years. Right? So it's very important for you all to interact, and yeah, you should just go ahead and probably have a group formation of your own to understand each other better. One question from Sharath is, ma'am, how to develop CEO qualities? I think this is a very advanced stage question, Sharath, that you don't have to start thinking about right now. It's like preparing for IIT exams since childhood. It's like that. Why do you want to stress yourself? And people who are CEOs sometimes don't even open their own firm. Not everybody who makes their own startup becomes the CEO. There are some CEOs who are hired because of their hard work, because of their dedication, because of their talent, because of their confidence. Like I said, your education qualification is only a pizza base. It is not important to only have a degree. It is important how your toppings are, how the taste of the pizza comes from its toppings. So what traits, what characteristics you have, how confident you are about yourself. And that comes with interaction. Your confidence builds with interaction. When you meet an array of people, when you meet many people, when you interact with them, when you interact with your teachers, when you learn from your teachers. All of us have some role models in life. It can be an actor, it can be a politician, it can be a teacher, it can be a friend, it can be a parent. Everyone has role models that we want to be like. You want to be a CEO, maybe your role model can be Bill Gates. You can probably follow his motivational speeches, try to be more like him, or anyone for that matter. It can be anybody. It can even be somebody who runs a street side shop. Okay, it can even be somebody who sells pani puri on road. Your motivation, your inspiration can come from anybody. Okay, so there are no fixed set of qualities that you need to have. Trust me, there are no fixed set of qualities that if I have these qualities, you can't make a checklist and think that I have checked all the qualities, hence I should be a CEO. That doesn't happen. Along with qualities, you need to have support system, you need to have education, you need to have finances, you need to have a lot of things to become what you want to become, which is why I will reiterate, your marks are not going to decide what you will become tomorrow, but your overall personality, your overall experience in VJIT is going to determine, is going to decide your future and your career. Right? I hope I was able to answer your question accurately. Going on. Saket says, Madam, this is compulsory to follow the 5 steps which you have said in the group formation. Saket, you don't have to follow the 5 steps. These steps will emerge automatically without your knowledge. These are the steps through which a group forms. And you cannot push those steps. It will happen automatically. It's a process. It's a process of group development. Once you enter college or once you start talking to people, and if you look back, Saki, just imagine your childhood friends group. How was that formed? Think about it, introspect, think about it. Did you follow these steps? Did it go to the 3rd and the 4th step or no? You will get your answer for yourself. Then few more questions and then I shall stop. Somebody is asking me, Dinesh is asking me, how do we work these 4 years? I think every student, questions that why do we have to study so much? Why do we have to study? Usually parents say, 10th kar lo beta, board exam ke baad to enjoyment hai. After 10th, you will enjoy. And then you understand, oh God, I'm back to square one. Now 11th and 12th. Then they say, intermediate kar lo, after that you will enjoy. After that, you do your undergrad. You get into college, then they tell you, just get a degree. That is important. Get a degree, and then your life is set. But no, life doesn't end there. Struggles keep on continuing. It is very wrong if I would say that adults have more stress than children or than students and adolescents, because at every stage of life you have obstacles. At every stage of life you have goals. Every stage of life you have speed breakers. Okay, so I cannot compare the level of stress a college going student will have to the level of stress of a first class student. For the first class student, for his or her age, he or she has their level of stress. So it differs with age, it differs with your academic education qualification. So yeah, let me tell you, if people have told you that life is going to be easier after 4 years of your education, life is never going to be easy. It depends on your capabilities, how you take it. It can be easy even now, it can be easy even later, if you believe in your abilities. Of course, if you see your 4 years of education as stressful, if you think you're doing it only for a degree, it is going to be very boring and very dry. Take it as a challenge, take it as a learning experience, then it will be interesting. Take it as learning a new skill, then you will find it interesting. It's as good as learning how to play a guitar or learning how to play basketball. It's as good as that. We humans, we students, we teachers, we parents have complicated things. I think we should just keep it very simple and go with the flow. Yeah. Somebody, Saket, again asked me, what are the advantages and disadvantages of group studies? I think there are equal number of advantages and group disadvantages. That depends on the type of group. If you are studying with your leisure group, like I said, there are several groups. If you're studying with your leisure group, I don't think there will be any advantage of studies. Yes, the only advantage will be that you will have a night out together, you will enjoy, but there's no achievement of goal. If your goal is to achieve the examination, then you should be with your formal group instead. Then that core group will help you. So yeah, it depends on the kind of group you are in for your group study, Saket. That will help you to determine the advantage or disadvantage of group study, right? Then I think one student is trying to ask a question which I haven't seen. Yeah. I think with this, most of the questions I have answered, most of the questions that I saw in the chat box after filtering out the irrelevant chats, I have answered. So if there's anything more, maybe the management can take it up with me. Ma'am, I am handing the session over to you with this. But at the end of my own presentation, first I thank the management to give me an opportunity once again to be a part of the system of VJIT, to be a part of motivating the students to take their life very easily in the next coming 4 years of their education or 3 years of their education, not to be stressed. Yeah, at many places I think I did divert from my topic, but I thought it was necessary at that point of time to make it more interactional with the students. So I'll hand over the session to you, ma'am, if you do have any more questions from the students, and you can take it up with me.
Thank you, ma'am. I think you have answered the right questions at the right time for the right people. Thank you so much, Kane, on behalf of VJIT management, our department, our colleagues, and from our VJIT freshers. Wholeheartedly, with all the gratitude, we appreciate all your points and about group dynamics, because that's the in thing now, which is very essential because we're all into the virtual world, and probably our students are really benefited from all the inputs which you have given to frame up their binding and bonding within themselves. Thank you so much. We are so much indebted to you. We're looking forward for more sessions from you in future. I think our students have really assimilated all that, all your learnings and experiences which you have shared today. It was really enriching, and we are really very thankful to you. And students, we look forward to you the same 10:15 time tomorrow, because tomorrow, please, I tell you, don't miss out tomorrow's session. Please convey this message to all of your friends, because it's going to be very influential and impactful, because there are big people coming tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, Dr. Aarti Nagpal. And thank you, students, for your patient listening, and madam for your extremely patient answering the questions and clearing out the chat and all that. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.